And this evening, we're going to be doing a focus activity level 810. We're talking about music festivals. Music festivals are a little bit different than concerts, just your typical concert. Hello, Andrea. Nice to hear from you again. I hope you had a good afternoon. My afternoon was somewhat busy and hectic, so I'm very happy to sit down again and to spend part of my evening with you talking about music. Talking about music. Is anyone here this evening a music lover? Hello, Katia. Good evening, and how are you? I hope you had a good day. This evening's focus activity, we are talking about music festivals. And hello, Ginevra. Good evening. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. I assume everybody knows who I am. My name is Jennifer. Welcome, welcome. And tonight we are talking about music. Are you a music lover? If you are, what kind of music do you listen to? How often do you listen to music? I would have to say that personally speaking, I listen to a lot of music. I listen to music not constantly, but you are a music lover. Fantastic, Terrence. So am I. What kind of music do you listen to? You love music too, Katia. We realize, especially nowadays, that our contact is limited to people around us, to our neighbors, to our coworkers, to our friends. You like disco music? I do too. That it's a good thing that we can still have the freedom to listen to music. So it helps us maybe to escape from everyday stress, maybe to remember things from our past, or simply just to make us feel a little bit more positive. I think that's the effect of music. You listen to music every day, Ginevra. Okay, Terrence likes English music. Now, English music in the sense that music sung in English or English music groups from the UK. And Katia likes disco music. What kind of disco music? Do you like the disco music from the 70s in Italy, or do you like American disco music? Ginevra likes pop music. Okay, very good. So you like contemporary music. Do you have a favorite band or singer? Thank you, Andrea. Andrea says he likes relaxing music as new age music, but pop music too. Okay. You're listening to Bob Sinclair. Very, very nice. Good for you, Katia. And American disco music. There's something about American disco music. It just brings you back to a generation that even if we weren't going to discos in the 70s, it's something that a lot of people they can relate to on some level. Because as soon as you hear certain songs, everybody knows that it's American disco. I think it's wonderful. And thank you, Ginevra. Ginevra likes Ariana Grande. She has an amazing voice. Yes, she does. I have to admit that my music tastes range from classical music to traditional jazz to electronic music. Yes. Often, I guess every few years or so, my tastes change and I find myself interested in different types of music. That's very true. So this evening, we're talking about music festivals. Good evening, Elena. Thank you for joining us today. We're talking about music festivals, and music festivals are different than concerts. How so? If you go to a concert where a musical group or a performer is performing, it's just them. It's just that singer, that performer, or that musical group. and possibly another band that could open for them. The difference between a concert for a specific artist and a festival is that a festival encompasses a genre or a theme. So often there will be jazz festivals or rock and roll festivals or gospel festivals or heavy metal festivals. And you can listen to and see a wide range of groups and singers and artists that produce that particular type of music. Thank you, Katya. Katya also likes pop music and she listens to Italian music too. I have to admit I haven't really gotten into Italian music, even though I've been here for a very long time. There are some singers that I really appreciate. For example, he passed away a few years ago. Lucia, I can't remember his name, but he was a traditional Italian singer. I'm sorry. And I remember listening to some of his music that I thought was really good. And as far as singers, contemporary Italian singers, I've heard some songs by Giorgia. And I actually like Tiziano Ferro. Sì, Lucio Daria. Yes, that's him. And actually, I listened to him when I first, and you like Claudio Baglioni. Okay, I'll have to look him up. I've heard of him, but I've never actually listened to his music. And I also like Vasco Rossi, but earlier from the 90s. His later stuff I have difficulty with, but the music that he was producing in the 90s, I liked a lot. Because the first time I came to Italy, I was 19, and one of his albums had just been released. So he was the first Italian singer that I ever listened to. Okay, so in our focus for this evening, we're going to be discussing music festivals. We're going to use modals and semi-modals to give advice and suggestions. So it sounds like we have a great group tonight, a great group of music appreciators and music lovers. Katya, thank you. You had been to many concerts by Claudio Baglioni in Florence. Okay. Do you like going to concerts? Not everybody does. You like Marshmello. Is that a group, Terrence? Is that a musical group? I've never heard of Marshmello. What kind of music is that? We want to consider these 4 questions together. Do you enjoy attending concerts or music festivals? How often do you attend concerts or music festivals? Have you ever gotten a backstage pass? And what was your favorite event? So since we all have an opinion about music, the type of music we listen to, and the artists that we enjoy, do we go to concerts or festivals? He's a singer. Okay, I'm going to make a note of this. And I'm going to look him up because he is someone that I've never heard of before. So I am curious. With a name like Marshmello, I have to look it up and see what it is. Do we go to concerts and music festivals? At my age, I don't go to concerts anymore. I used to go to concerts when I was younger. Now, the idea of being in an arena or a stadium with thousands of other people makes me a little anxious. If I'm going to go to a concert, I prefer smaller concerts, smaller venues, possibly a club or a restaurant if I know someone is performing. So I don't go to concerts by very famous people anymore. No, I don't. And I've never been to a music festival. I've never been to a music festival, although sometimes I was interested in going. Thank you, Elena. I'll try not to worry. Now I can attend only online concerts. Now that everybody is giving concerts from their living room. In fact, last weekend I watched a cellist performing in his apartment in Germany. It was wonderful. And he was performing in his house because obviously we're all in lockdown. And he performed classical music in his apartment. It was very, very nice. So, do any of you go to concerts, or did you go to concerts before? If you do go to concerts, how often do you go? I actually have a girlfriend that still follows a boy band. In fact, this is a boy band that was extremely, extremely famous when we were in high school. And so we're all the same age, us and the grown men in the boy band. And she goes to concerts because now they have revival concerts of when they were younger. And she must go to maybe 4 or 5 concerts a year by then. Yes, there is. There's a lot of streaming on Instagram. There's a lot of streaming on Instagram. In fact, there is some performers that I've been able to watch on Instagram and Facebook, or otherwise I'll go directly to YouTube and I'll watch some of their performances. So now that we're home and we're in quarantine and in lockdown, are you watching concerts online? Is anybody watching concerts online? Have you discovered possibly a new type of music that you enjoy listening to because you have the opportunity to see different artists online? In all of my experiences going to concerts, I've never gotten a backstage pass. And I think my favorite event, one of the best events I'd ever been to, was a concert by George Michael. I went to a George Michael concert in New York at Madison Square Garden. You're not following any concerts online, Elena? Oh, Marshmallow is a famous DJ. Okay. Well, now DJs, that's not a very easy thing to do, especially now that it's all digital. I'll look them up anyway, Terrence. Thank you. No, I wasn't born yet, so I didn't go to Woodstock because I was born in 1972. And Woodstock, for many people who were there, since it's happened, it has become a lot bigger than it actually was. The people who were actually there says, "Oh yeah, it was a nice concert," but it has become much more famous and much more important in history than the event itself. Now, we want to make up a few questions using modals. What are our modal verbs or our semi-modals? Here we have a list of items, and we want to make questions regarding these items, these prompts, using our modal verbs. What are our modal verbs? Would, may, can, could. Our semi-modals: ought to, have to. And we have these 6 prompts here. The cost of tickets. Go to more concerts if tickets cost less. How far to go to a concert or music festival. Where to stand. Recommend a summer music festival. Dream lineup, name 3. A dream lineup would be a list of 3 artists that you would love to see perform. And there's your modal verb. A list of 3 artists that you would love to see perform. And there's your modal verb. Okay, so let's start with number 1. Number 1 is the cost of tickets. We want to create a question using a modal verb. If we're talking about a music festival where we have several important famous performers, cost of tickets. Since we're talking about money, and money is uncountable, the question then is how much? How much? I've given you the initial phrase of our question about the cost of tickets. Add a modal verb and complete the question. So if we were to organize a music festival with famous, important performers that people would be very, very excited and enthusiastic to see and to hear. Cost of tickets, how much? And we want to use a modal verb when we construct our question. Does anyone have any suggestions? When you come up with a possible question, just type it in and put it in our conversation box over to the side. You have your prompt, cost of tickets, and I've given you the beginning of the question. How much? How much? If we were organizing a music festival with wonderful musicians that people are very enthusiastic and excited to see and hear, how much? Would you like me to give you a hint? The modal verb. How much should concert tickets cost? Very good. If we're having a music festival with very important musicians, how much should the tickets cost? Or how much would the tickets cost? Both are acceptable possibilities. Thank you very much, Elena, and thank you, Katya. How much should the tickets cost? Now, keeping in mind what our modal verbs are: would, could, may, might, should. We have our second prompt. How much would tickets cost to call this famous singer? Very good, Katya. So we have how much should or how much would. Both are acceptable answers for questions using modals. Let's look at our second prompt. Go to more concerts if tickets cost less. We are now constructing a conditional sentence. Our conditional sentence has two clauses. If tickets cost less, finish the sentence with our modal verb. If tickets cost less. Because when I was younger, going to a concert cost maybe $15. $15 would be the equivalent of 10 euro. Then the prices went up a little bit for more important singers. I remember going to see George Michael cost me about $35. $35 would be less than 30 euro to see George Michael. And it was a long concert. He gave a fantastic performance. I think the concert was about 2 hours, a little over 2 hours for $35. If concert tickets cost less, people will go to more concerts. Okay, people will or people would. Because if you say will, Elena, then you're making a prediction. Now, possibly, if the tickets cost less for a certain festival, more people will go or more people would go. And here we have a question. Would you go to more concerts if tickets cost less? Because in actuality, we were supposed to make a question. I got distracted by conditional. If tickets cost less, I'll go to the concerts more often. Yes, me too, Katya. Thank you, Elena. Thank you, Katya, for wonderful conditional sentences. We were, however, supposed to make a question because the slide says questions using modals, but that was my Error. Excuse me. So the question using a modal, would you go to more concerts if tickets cost less? Let's take a look at the third prompt. How far to go to a concert or music festival? Now, let's keep in line with the question. We're asking someone a question using a modal verb. Would, might, should, could. And we want to ask a question in the second person. So you, how far you go to a concert or music festival. My friend, my girlfriend, who basically she's a groupie. Don't tell her I said that. A groupie is someone, a very, very dedicated fan who travels all over to see the same person or the same musical group. How far could you go for a concert or music festival? Thank you, Elena. How far could you go? How far would you go? Would you take a plane to go to a concert? My girlfriend, yes. My girlfriend has taken planes and boats to see her favorite group. She has gone without paying her rent, saying, well, I don't know if I'm ever going to see them again, so I'm not going to pay my rent this month. I'll see them in a concert. So yes, she will make all kinds of sacrifices. How far would you go to see a music festival? I don't know if I would go farther than I could drive. So I would travel a few hours by car, but I would not fly. I would not take out a loan from a bank. And I would not take off from work. So if a festival falls on a weekend, then that's okay. How far would the concert? Wait a minute. How far would be the concert to go to a concert of your favorite singer? Well, thank you, Katya. Take a look at Elena's sentence, her question. How far could you go? Or how far would you go? Why would? Because could explains capability, whereas would explains the possibility. Would you consider it? If the festival was near your home, would you consider going? I wouldn't fly for a concert either. No, because if it costs more to travel to get there than the ticket itself, then that's too much money. I agree with you, Elena. Where to stand? Here's our next prompt. Where to stand? If I pay money to go to a concert, I don't think I would want to stand for the concert. I know some concerts have standing room only. For example, there are seats after a certain row, but if you're right in the front for a concert, usually there's a standing room. You always go to concerts in Florence, Katya. Well, that's pretty close. I've never been to a concert in Florence. Let's take a look at our question for number 4. Where would you stand or sit? So notice that out of our 4 questions so far, the first question, how much should tickets cost? And the other questions use the modal verb would. Would you go to concerts more often? How far would you go? Where would you stand or sit? So if you went to a concert, where would you stand or sit? I would sit in the front section. Because if I buy a ticket, I don't want to sit too far back. I want to be able to see the performer. I think that's most important. I need at least to be able to see the performer. Let's take a look at our 5th prompt. Recommend a summer festival. I think here we're talking about capability. So which modal verb goes with capability? Would is possibility. Should is like a suggestion, or if we're encouraging somebody to do something. But here we're using it in a question, so it's not an encouragement. So if we're considering a music festival, you might go to, is this a question for number 5, Kathia? What happened to Terrence and Andrea? Where is everybody? Oh, could. Okay, could you recommend a summer festival? Very good. No, I couldn't. No, I couldn't. Because I don't go to festivals anymore. I know they have some fantastic jazz festivals. There's the jazz festival in Umbria, which I actually, for several years now that I've wanted to go, but I've never been able to go. And there were a few years where I wanted to go to one of the days of Pistoia Blues because there was someone performing that I wanted to see. But then the confusion in Pistoia was just too much for me. No, I couldn't. It's too hot. Yes, it is too hot in the summer. So I don't recommend summertime music festivals. Dream lineup. Who would be on your dream lineup? Okay, now that we have our questions using modals, we want to answer them. We've already talked about how far we would go to see a music festival. Katia usually goes to Florence. Elena wouldn't fly, and neither would I. Let's skip to the 4th question. Where would you stand or sit at a concert? If you buy tickets to a concert, where would you stand or sit? Because now you buy the place at the concert. You don't just go in and sit wherever you want, because depending on the section you're in affects the cost of the ticket. So let's say that you're prepared to spend a certain amount of money. Where would you stand or sit during the concert? You recommend I go to the jazz festival in Pistoia. Is that the Pistoia Blues that they usually have in June? I doubt they're having it this year, though. They're probably not going to have it this year. I'd like to see the performer as well, Katia. That's a good point. If I'm spending money, then I want to see the person singing. I don't want to see a tiny speck on a stage running back and forth. I want to actually see the person. I want to see the person. Think about who would be in your dream lineup if you decide to go to a music festival or a concert. What performers or singers would you love to see together? That's not a very easy question to answer, especially if you like different types of music. Which performers would you like to see perform together? For example, for any of you who had seen the halftime show for the Super Bowl, when Jennifer Lopez and Shakira performed together, that was a great combination. And I never would have imagined to put the two of them together. But it was a very good combination, and they performed wonderfully together. So sometimes it depends also on how they perform well together. Okay, we want to come up now with word. Alanis Morissette and Andrea Bocelli, really? You'd like to see them perform together or at the same festival? Alanis Morissette is very, very good. She used to be very angry. She's not as angry anymore. She was very angry when she was younger. But I've heard her sing live. No, not live. That's not true. Unplugged. So I've heard her sing her songs acoustically without any modifications. And she's talented anyway. She's one of the few musical artists that can sing without anything. And you can hear how talented they are. And you saw the two of them together, Katia, Claudio Baglioni and Gianna Morandi. It never occurred to me to put Alanis Morissette and Andrea Bocelli together, but it could work. It could work. Gianni Morandi. Isn't he the one that sang about getting milk at the market? You like her anger. So do I. I like her anger too. Okay, we want to look at word formations. Word formations, words that come from the root word, words that come from the root word music, words that come from the root word crowd, words that come from the root word group, and words that come from the root word play. Yeah, that's the one. Gianni Morandi, who sings about going to the supermarket to get milk. I think it's incredible that you can take an idea so mundane and make a fantastic song about it. Okay, so we have our word formations. These are words that come from root words: musical, musician, and musically. What's the difference of these words? And what do they mean? We have crowded, overcrowded, uncrowded. Groupie, regroup, and grouped. Playful, playlist, and overplayed. Elena, no, we can't go to the supermarket now. No, we can't. But if we call Essilunga, they will bring us milk. They'll deliver the milk. In fact, I have a market behind my house that if I call them, they will bring the groceries to my house. I haven't used the service yet because I enjoy leaving my house at least once a week. Just once a week. I like to leave my house. Okay, let's take a look at our word formations. These are words that come from a root word, and we want to fill in the blank. Fill in the blanks because there are several. So here they give us the root word here. And so we know that one of these then has to go in the blank. Let's go through the text together. As you come up with the answer, just put it in the conversation box and let's complete the text. Okay. My friend Ted is talented. Because it's my friend Ted. Wait just a minute, Katya. Because it's my friend Ted is, we know we need an adjective. You need an adjective. Because if we say my friend Ted is then we need a noun. But because we have my friend Ted is, thank you, Elena, my friend Ted is musically talented and dreams of being a famous, here's this one now is where we need a noun, Katya. My friend is musically talented and dreams of being a famous. Hey, hello, Ginevra. How are you? The first one is musically. The second blank, he wants to be a musician. Very good. Thank you very much. Better yet, a DJ like Marshmallow Terrence. He enjoys music so much that we went to a music festival this past summer. We really liked the DJs. Here we need a word from play. Playful, playlist, overplayed. We need a noun. We need a noun. There didn't include a lot of the songs that are playlist. Hey, Terrence, welcome back. Their playlist didn't include a lot of the songs that are, another word from play, on the radio. Thank you, Katya. Thank you for your answer. So the playlist didn't include a lot of the songs that are on the radio. We need another word with play. Overplayed. Thank you. Thank you very much, Katya. That are overplayed on the radio. What does it mean to overplayed? Thank you, Elena. Overplayed means it's played all the time. That's what it means. That every time you turn on the radio, you hear that song. It's one of the most frustrating things in the world. It really is. Okay, the venue is the place where there is a performance. The venue was, now we need a word with crowd. We need a word with crowd. The venue was, so the place where we went to see this DJ was overcrowded. So I lost Ted after the first set. This is a tough one because the venue was overcrowded. So I lost Ted after the first set. We had a backup plan if we got lost. We would, and now we need a word with group. Thank you very much, Elena, for overcrowded. Katya, crowded. Overcrowded is excessively crowded. If a place is just crowded, it means that there are a lot of people. If it's overly crowded, there's an excess of people, and that's why we lost Ted. That's why we lost our friend Ted at the music concert. We had a backup plan if we got lost. Now we need a word from group. Groupie, regroup, and grouped. What happens if you get separated from a friend or from your family? My children, we also used to have this plan when they were smaller, and we would go to the GE, and I'd say, if you ever get lost, if you ever lose me, this is our meeting place. If we're ever separated, you go to this place and I will wait for you. Because especially regroup, very good. We would regroup by the left side of the stage. Thank you, Elena. Exactly, regroup. It means that you make a group again. You go and you find the people. Thank you, Terrence. Thank you, Katya. We would regroup by the left side of the stage, close to the backstage entrance where the hang out. And I said that my girlfriend was actually one of these. She would follow her favorite band everywhere. She followed them all over the country. In fact, because these performers now are a little bit older than we are. So if we're 48, these performers are now in their 50s, their early 50s, because they were a boy band when we were in high school. So if we were 16, 15, and 16 years old, they were maybe 17 or 18. And they give concerts now on cruise ships. They'll organize a weekend, a 3-day weekend, and they perform every single evening, and then they mingle with the women on the cruise ships. I know. So I just gave you the answer. A lot of women who love these performers will go on these cruises to spend the weekend with these famous or once famous people. And this is a type of person, a groupie. I said that my girlfriend was a groupie. Where the groupies hang out. The groupies are the fans, the obsessive fans that follow the performers everywhere. Okay, let's take a look at the next slide. Kate and Peter, these are rules. Kate and Peter are planning to attend a summer music festival this year. Their parents aren't super thrilled, so they are setting some ground rules. So we know that if you go to a summer music festival, there are a lot of people. Usually the festival lasts for several days. And you have to be careful because it's not always the safest environment for different reasons. And here we have our modal verbs. Should and may, might and must, might and can, could, can, need to, semi-modal, will, should, have to, ought to, could, can, and shall. So let's go through the first one. Group E, thank you, Andrea. I guess I lost you guys for a few minutes. Is the connection okay? Thank you very much, Andrea. The last answer on the previous slide was Group E. We want to go through these sentences now and fill them in with the correct modal verb. Should. Thank you very much, Elena. If you get lost, you should have a designated meeting spot. Thank you, Elena, and thank you, Terrence. Number 2, you have identification on you at all times. This is now we're obligating. We should obligate them. This is a very strong rule right here. Thank you, Katya. Number 1 is should. Number 2, you have identification on you at all times. You've never lost me. Oh, good, Elena. Elena, you're so good. You're so faithful. Okay, must. Thank you very much. You must have identification on you at all times. This is an obligation. This is one of those times where you don't have a choice. You must have ID on you. For example, if you're traveling around Europe by yourself, as I was many years ago, I needed to carry ID on me at all times. Thank you, Katya. Thank you, Terrence. And thank you, Ginevra. Be careful about meeting new people. They not be trustworthy. Here we have a negative explaining possibility. They might not be trustworthy. Very good. Number 4, carry your phone with you at all times so you Thank you, Katya. Thank you, Ginevra. And thank you, Terrence. Number 3 was might. Be careful about meeting new people. They might not be trustworthy. Carry your phone with you at all times. Thank goodness that we have cell phones now. Because when I was younger, so you can call for help. Very good. You, number 5, thank you, ladies. Carry your phone with you at all times so you can call for help. Number 5, you. Very good, Elena. Thank you for putting the number. You, thank you, Terrence, about calling for help. You need your cell phone at all times so you can call for help. You need to call home twice a day. This is a very good rule for children, for young ones traveling without parent supervision. In fact, I had the same rule with my mom for years because I left the States when I was in my 20s. And I used to call my mother once a week at the same time on the same day. So this was an indication for her that if I didn't call her, something was wrong. Need to. Thank you, Katya, Terrence, and Ginevra. You need to call home twice a day. Number 6, you aren't allowed to go somewhere alone. You have to stay together. Have to is similar to must. It's a sense of obligation. It's expressing obligation. Thank you, everyone. You have to stay together. You have to stay together. Number 7, this is a suggestion. Oh, thank you, Ellen. And number 6 is have to. Obligating the young ones to stay together instead of wandering off alone. Number 7, this is very, very important. You always need extra money. And this is the same semi-modal that is the equivalent of should. You should have extra money in case of an emergency. You ought to have extra money. Thank you, Katya and Elena. You ought to have extra money. It's a good idea. You may decide not to, but it's a good idea to do it. Thank you, Terrence. Ought to. And our last one, number 8, you go, but only if you agree to these rules. You can go. Thank you. This is what I say to my children. You can play video games only if. You can go out on Saturday if you are home by a certain time. Thank you very much. And this is how parents give permission for their children to do things that they may or may not be in favor of. Okay, tomorrow in Boomland, Belgium was started. Tomorrowland in Boom, Belgium was started in 2005. It's a 3-day event with roughly 180,000 attendees. The tickets sell out within hours. There are about 125 different performances each day spread across 15 different stages. Okay, now at this point, we want to watch a brief video about this musical festival. So bear with me just a moment. I'm going to pull the video up. Okay, let me see. Let me close this one here. And we want to stop the screen. We're going to do another share screen. And we're going to pull up the video about this music festival entitled Tomorrowland. Are we ready? Okay, can everyone hear the video? Oh, you can't hear it? You can't hear the video? Oh, because you can. I can't share the sound. Okay, I'll explain to you what's happening. We're in Belgium, Tomorrowland, and this, I'll explain to you. These are the stages of Tomorrowland. Can you hear me while I explain the video? This is the smallest stage in Tomorrowland. Can you hear me? Okay, then I'm explaining the video to you while you watch. These are people from all over the world that attend this musical festival. These people are from Holland, and these people are from France. And we saw some Italians there for a moment as well. All the articles that are sold at this festival are handmade. So also the decorations for this festival are made especially for this event. It's a huge international musical event. And because everyone now travels with their mobile phones, they have portable chargers. So if you're in a place where there is no place to plug in your phone, basically you can buy a charger, rent a charger, and charge your phone while you continue moving through the festival. Okay, there is no money in Tomorrowland. There are only tokens. So the same way when you go to a Luna Park, you buy tokens to take the rides. You buy tokens here as well to use all the services in Tomorrowland. So you don't use credit cards, you don't use money. You buy tokens first. And we see here that there are also jacuzzis in Tomorrowland. And this is behind the scenes. This is behind the scenes at Tomorrowland. I know, Andrea, that's why I'm explaining the video to you, because I wasn't able to share the audio. These are the people behind the scenes at Tomorrowland, which take care of the security. And basically, they go into the internet and they're able to keep track of the texts and the chats, so that if people are planning to bring certain substances into Tomorrowland, because they want to keep it drug-free. And from there, we can see an aerial view of the Tomorrowland Music Festival site. And this is how they keep track also of the officers, the security officers and everyone else, to maintain security at this festival, because we see how many people are there. And this is a festival that lasts several days. Okay, this is where the people stay, because obviously if you're traveling from France, from Italy, from other countries in Europe to go to Tomorrowland, you have to stay there for a few days. So they have tents. They have individual tents here. Notice the tents behind the guest, where the young people can stay and live in the music festival. And these are the shops. So you can go and buy bread, you can go and buy food. It's basically a small city or a small town that works for the entire duration of the festival. Okay, we're going to stop watching the video here, because I just wanted to give you an idea of what this music festival was like. And we saw that there was an enormous amount of people. Next time I'm going to figure out how to share the audio as well. I only figured out how to share the video at this point. Sorry about that. All right, we are now going to share. Let me see here a minute. Hang on. I need to get rid of this video. I'm going to stop screen. You're going to see me for a minute while I pull up the other tool. And now we can go back to our focus. No, we're not. Hang on just a second. Tool. Here it is. And hang on a second. Share screen. Let me pull up our other. Here we are. Now I'm sharing you the focus again. There it is. And now we want to go back to our focus activity. Okay. And we want to answer a few questions before we come to the end of our focus. What kinds of suggestions would you make to someone who was thinking about visiting or attending this enormous music festival? Is this a kind of music festival that you would want to go to? Well, you understand now that you understand my age and my limitations, my social limitations. I can't say that I would enjoy going to a music festival of this size. Would anyone else want to attend a music festival like this? And if you would, what kind of advice would you give to someone else? Were you able to see the video, and were you able to hear me as well while I was giving you I was talking to you about what the woman in the video was saying? Basically, I've seen the video. So I was telling you what she was saying during the video, how she was explaining the experience of the people who were attending this musical festival. After watching the video of this music festival Tomorrowland, would anybody here be interested in attending a festival like this? As I said, I don't really know if I would want to attend a music festival of this size. Thank you, Katya. Thank you, Elena. Okay, no, you wouldn't like to go either. It's too overcrowded for me. In fact, the first scene of the video where you saw all of those people, at that moment, I think I would turn around and go home. I think that's just too many people and it's too much confusion for me. Thank you, Katya. I'm afraid of crowded places, so I avoid going to these kinds of events. Mm-hmm. When I was younger, maybe the idea, the energy of being in a crowd, a huge group of people was exciting, but not anymore. I mean, I guess I prefer the quiet. I do. Or I prefer a small group of people that enjoy listening to music. But crowded places like that with a lot of music is a little bit overwhelming for me. What kind of advice would you give someone? Now we saw the list of rules that the two younger people had to follow in the previous slide. Their parents said, okay, if you want to go to this festival, you should do this, you ought to do that, you must do this, you need to do something else. So if your friend or maybe your children said, okay, I want to go to Tomorrowland and I've gotten my tickets, there's a group of us who are going to go, what kind of advice would you give them? What kind of advice would you give them? If your friend came to you and said, oh, you know what? I'm going to Tomorrowland. And she would say, well, do you want to come with me? Well, my first response would be, no, I don't. But thank you for asking. After which I would say, well, if I don't go with you, who are you going to go with? And she said, well, I'm going to go by myself. Then I would say, well, I would suggest you shouldn't go by yourself. You ought to go with someone else. Okay, Katya, thank you very much. Pay attention. In English, we say, be careful. For example, you pay attention during the lesson, but in overcrowded places, you have to be careful because they're not always the safest places to be, especially nowadays. You have to be careful when you're in crowded places. So our advice for someone who wanted to go to an event like Tomorrowland would be to be careful. And I would suggest that if you are a young woman, that you shouldn't go alone. You should grow. Yes, very good, Katya. You have to be careful. You shouldn't go alone. You should go with a group of people. Go with a group of people that you trust and a group of people that are responsible. That's what I would suggest. And I think also we saw that they have tents for people who want to go to the festival. Exactly, Elena. You shouldn't go alone. In fact, we saw in the video that there were groups of friends who went to this festival. There were groups of friends who were traveling together. So most people, I don't think, would consider going to a festival of this caliber alone. It wouldn't be a very good idea, I don't think. Okay, we've come to the end of our focus. We've talked about music festivals and different types of music and what kinds of music we listen to. We also reviewed semi-modal and modal verbs. Very good. You should take care of your mobile phone, Elena, because nowadays, without a mobile phone, we are lost. We are lost. What are our modal verbs? Where is the slide with our modal verbs? Wait a minute. We had the slide here with our modal verbs. No, these are our root words. Here we have our modal verbs. Notice the modal verbs at the end of the phrases: should and may, might and must, might and can, could and can, need to, will, should, have to, ought to, could, and can and shall. With these modal verbs and semi-modals, we were able to give advice and also set down ground rules, because all the modal verbs, semi-modals, don't work in the same way. Sometimes there are obligations, sometimes there are suggestions, and other times there are warnings. Okay. Listen, I want to thank everybody for joining me this evening. It was a very nice music focus. Yes, Elena, and you should avoid, as well as I, overcrowded areas. I would, exactly, Elena. Elena gave very good advice. You should stay in the hotel. If I decided to attend an event like this, I would not stay in a tent. I would stay in the hotel. And I would go to the event during the day, and then in the evening, I would go back to my hotel. Okay, does anyone have anything else to add before we wrap up our focus for this evening? For anyone who's interested, there will be another focus tomorrow afternoon, I believe at 5:30. This way you're free on Friday night. So Friday afternoon, there'll be another focus of the same level. We'll have another focus tomorrow at 5:30, focus 8:10 for anybody who is available. Okay. Bye, Terrence. Thank you so much. Good vibes to you too. Everyone have a fantastic evening. Thank you so much for joining me. Bye. And thank you, Katya. You too. We're going to, when this whole thing is over, we'll go listen to some music together. Thank you very much, Ginebra. Good night, Andrea. Have a wonderful evening, and I'll see everyone next time. Thanks so much. Have a great evening.